insanely strong magnetic field. I have to hold them very firmly because if they snap together, they could shatter instantly. High speeds and significant friction without wearing down too quickly. The motor after the full maxed out mods, high-speed bearings, neodymium magnets.
Wait.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to carry out a truly special mission, transforming this tiny 3 volts motor into a masterpiece called Vipro, a top-tier speed machine. The most powerful in the world. Sounds a bit unreal, right? But don't be too quick to doubt me. I'm going to upgrade it with some absolutely insane components, and the result will definitely surprise you all. So what exactly am I going to do to turn a tiny little motor into a speed monster? Stick around and watch the whole video to find out. Right here in my hand is a very common 3 volts motor. You can easily find these inside toy cars for kids today. I'm going to mod it into a super battle version. But first, let's test its stock speed so we'll have a clear comparison before and after the upgrade. Look at this. Guys, the rotation speed is honestly pretty average. Nothing special. But don't worry, once you see the final result, you'll be blown away. Now I'm going to take the motor apart so you can see exactly what's inside. Here you go inside are 2 very thin copper plates. And this right here is one of the most important parts of the motor, the brushes. However, in these cheap motors, calling them brushes sounds fancy, but in reality, they don't actually use carbon brushes at all. They're just 2 copper plates pressed against the rotor to conduct electricity. Next, I'm going to show you another critical part of any motor, the rotor, also known as the rotating shaft. Look closely. The copper wire inside is wound very thin. Using such thin wire helps the motor stay cool while running, but the downside is that its speed and power aren't very high, and that's exactly what I want to improve in today's video. I'm going to completely rewind this rotor, but this time using much thicker copper wire so the motor can generate more torque and reach insane speeds. Moving on to the magnets, the ones used in this motor are just standard magnets with relatively weak magnetic force. Later, I'll replace them with neodymium magnets, super strong magnets that make the motor more efficient also. The rear shaft here is just an ordinary plastic bushing. I'm going to upgrade it with premium ball bearings, specifically RS bearings designed for high-speed applications. I'll replace both the front and rear bushings to ensure smooth and durable operation at high RPMs. Basically, I'm going to upgrade almost everything, guys. The only thing I'll keep is the rotor's metal core itself. Here, let me just take out the old magnets to show you. These 2 black pieces are standard magnets with weak force understandable, since this is a budget motor dot, and in a moment, I'll replace them with a pair of neodymium magnets with extremely strong pull and push force. Once they're installed, the difference will be on a whole new level. Let's get to work, everyone. This is also the most time-consuming step of today's video, removing all the old copper wire from the rotor and rewinding it with thicker wire. First, I'll cut off the old wire. This rotor has 3 poles, which connect to the contact plates and brushes. Now I'll remove all the old wire and then replace it with copper wire that's several times thicker. To boost the motor's power and rotation speed, this step requires a lot of patience and focus because all 3 coils must be wound evenly in the same direction and with exactly the same number of turns. If you wind one coil clockwise and another counterclockwise, the motor simply won't spin, guys. And if the number of turns isn't equal, the magnetic field will be unbalanced, causing vibration and unstable operation. And after a while of patiently working, ta-da! I've finished rewinding the rotor. I prepared 2 rotors to make it easier for you to see the difference. One is the stock, factory original rotor with thin wire, and the other is the fully upgraded version with copper wire 4 times thicker. See that? The difference is crystal clear. Thicker wire means stronger, current capacity, more powerful rotation, and much higher efficiency. NG to remove the standard bushings and replace them with high-speed RS ball bearings. These will help the shaft spin more smoothly, more stably, and be way more durable. Here, take a close look, guys. These RS bearings are tiny. Let me zoom in so you can see better. They might look small, but their low capacity and speed performance are absolutely excellent. However, there's one issue. These bearings are smaller than the hole size in the motor housing, so I have to machine the housing to fit them. And since the parts are so small and thin, this step is quite tricky and requires high precision. I've reinforced the outside with a copper sleeve before pressing the bearing in. That's the only way to ensure a perfect fit and stable operation. Next, I'm going to drill ventilation holes in the motor casing. After the upgrades, the motor will run at much higher speeds and power, which means it'll generate a lot more heat, so it's crucial to have good cooling. Not only did I drill holes, but I also smoothed out the entire housing and gave it a fresh coat of bright yellow paint, both for looks and to make it instantly recognizable as the exclusive VPRO custom build. You can see the patterns and ventilation holes I've added. The more airflow, the better the cooling performance. On top of that, I've installed a tiny cooling fan at the end of the rotor dot. It might be small, but it's incredibly effective. When spinning at high speed, it pulls all the hot air out of the motor and draws cool air in from outside, keeping the motor cool and stable during operation. And now comes a super critical step, replacing the regular magnets with neodymium magnets. Check this out, guys. These are the high-end neodymium magnets I ordered from overseas. It took quite a while for them to arrive. Just these two magnets alone cost 4 to 5 times more than the entire original motor. But it's absolutely worth every penny. Look closely. Neodymium magnets have an insanely strong magnetic field. I have to hold them very firmly because if they snap together, they could shatter instantly. Isn't this awesome, guys? Every single tiny detail has been meticulously upgraded and fine-tuned. Now it's time to test out the monster speed machine. Alright, next up is installing the two neodymium magnets into the motor. This process is actually quite straightforward because the magnets' dimensions were precisely calculated to fit perfectly into the stock motor housing. The biggest difference is simply that these magnets are way stronger than the original ones. To ensure safety and keep everything firmly in place, I've added a locking clip in the center, which helps hold the rotor in its exact position. Next comes reinstalling the rotor back into the motor. And honestly, guys, this step is pretty tough because the neodymium magnets pull so hard that it's extremely difficult to keep the rotor properly aligned on the shaft. But finally, boom, I managed to complete the core assembly. At this point, I'd say the motor is about 80 to 90% finished. I'm going to assemble the rear part of the motor. But right now, the rear still doesn't have any bearings. So if I leave it like this and run it at high speeds, the plastic parts could easily melt due to friction and poor heat dissipation. So I'm going to add a bearing to the rear section. To ensure the motor shaft spins more smoothly and stays stable at high RPMs. Also, I'm using a special adhesive to secure the tiny cooling fan, making sure that when it spins fast, it doesn't wobble or fly off. And now comes a super important upgrade step, replacing the original electrical contacts with a brand new set of carbon brushes. Originally, this stock motor only used 2 thin copper strips, no real carbon brushes at all. That means if it runs for a long time, those strips wear out quickly and cause unstable electrical contact. So I removed all the old copper strips and prepared to install tiny specialized carbon brushes. Check this out. Guys, these brushes are so tiny that I can't even hold them with my fingers and have to use tweezers instead. But despite their size, they're thick, durable, and capable of handling high speeds and significant friction without wearing down too quickly. After carefully aligning everything, I installed the 2 carbon brushes into the original contact. Slot stop from now on. This motor can run comfortably at high speeds without worrying about losing electrical contact or wearing out too fast. Finally, I reassembled the green rear cover of the motor. I also upgraded it with a small bearing back here. But because the bearing is slightly smaller than the hole in the motor's rear cover, I had to machine a sleeve around it to make it fit snugly and securely. Most importantly, even with the added sleeve, everything has to stay perfectly centered. With the front shaft, if it's off even a little bit, the motor will vibrate or cause uneven wear. Look closely. It's just a tiny little bearing, but the way that shaft spins is absolutely insane. No wobble, no misalignment. Spins smooth like flowing water. You can feel it right away. That's what a quality motor is all about, guys. And now, I won't keep you waiting any longer. I'm going to finish the final step / assemble everything perfectly, and then get to the part we've all been waiting for. Speed test! This little 3 volts motor from back in the day, after getting the full option. How fast will it spin? What kind of crazy level will it reach? Join me and find out right now. Let's go! Let's fire it up, guys! Woo, wow! Guys, do you see that? Wait, why is it so weak? And here's the reason why, everyone. Right now, this motor is drawing up to 4A at just 3 volts and the crazy thing / which is also a bit of a fail, to be honest, is that this power wire is practically melted. It's insanely hot, guys. Touch it and it burns your fingers. Thinking about it, it makes total sense because 4 amps running through such a thin wire just can't handle it. So now I need to replace it with a thicker wire bigger, with higher current capacity. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add a bit of lubricant to the shaft and the bearings as well, so that when we test it again, it'll spin even smoother and quieter. Okay, all done. Now I'm going to hook the power directly back up and test it again for you guys. Round 2. Okay, now let's compare, guys. This here is the original motor, completely stock. Listen closely. Soft, low motor spinning sound, fairly quiet, a bit weak. Hear that? It's smooth, sure, but it's super weak, guys. And now, this is the motor after the full maxed out mods, high-speed bearings, neodymium magnets, super thick copper wire, upgraded carbon brushes, basically as beastly as it can possibly get, guys. Listen to this engine roar. Loud, high-pitched, motor screaming, fierce and intense. Oh my God, guys! That sound is roaring like it's about to tear the whole world apart. Do you hear that raw power, that pure fire in the sound? It's a total game changer. Guys, the difference is like Earth and Mars. It's literally gone from a little toy motor to an absolute monster motor.
Nice that. Wait. Who's
That's it, guys. The fan blades just flew off. Absolutely insane, guys. This motor right now will be perfect for building an RC airplane. No doubt about it. From an ordinary little 3 volts toy motor, turned into a full-on speed monster. And that's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. Everyone, thanks so much to all of you for sticking around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to drop me a like, a comment, and a gentle yet loving sub, guys. See you all in the next modding videos. Bye-bye.